This was the scariest game I've ever played. They called it the shadow game. And all you need is a candle and a mirror. But be careful, because if your shadow moves first, then you have to run for your life. It was 4:44 a.m. and my friend Zoe was messing around with a candle and a mirror. She said, "Let's see if the shadow game works." Now, she'd seen it online. You stand in front of a mirror at exactly 4:44 a.m. with a candle and say, "Let my shadow answer." And then you wait. And at first, her reflection didn't move. So she spoke the words, "Let my shadow answer." And just as she said that, her shadow blinked. She screamed and dropped the candle. But then, it was too late. The flame had already turned blue. That meant that she'd lost the game. Her shadow tilted its head and smiled, but she hadn't moved. She backed away slowly. Her shadow stayed still. Then it did something even scarier. It stepped out of the mirror. Zoe screamed and ran out of the room, out of the house. She didn't stop running until she got to my place. She pounded on my door and whispered, "Help me." I knew something was wrong. So I opened the door, and she ran inside, her eyes wide with terror. "What happened?" I asked. "I played the shadow game," she whispered, "and now my shadow won't leave me alone." Then she told me about what happened with the blue flame and the shadow stepping out of the mirror. "I don't believe in that stuff," I said. "It's just a game, a silly shadow game." But I could tell by the way that Zoe was looking at me that she wasn't kidding, and I knew that whatever had happened to her, it wasn't good. The next morning, Zoe's parents found her in bed. She had open eyes and she was breathing very shallow, but she wouldn't speak. They were scared, so they took her to the hospital. But by the time they got there, she was better. And when the doctors checked her, they couldn't find anything wrong. And then, at sunset, Zoe's shadow smiled. Now, would you let your shadow decide? Comment yes or never.